Footprint is a new board game based around an environmental message. It's a sustainability challenge that requires players to answer eco-questions in order to make a move. Also working against the clock, players need to collaborate before it's the end of the world and everyone loses. The first 100 copies of the Portsmouth Edition are on sale, and joining us in the studio to tell us a little more about it is creator Owen Devine. Welcome, Owen. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
First of all, how did the game came about? What was the stimulus for it, basically?
Well, it was about Christmas 5 years ago. I was playing some traditional board games with my family, and as I think probably many people know, it ended in tears.
Oh, yes.
So I stepped back from it and thought, obviously there's very positive things about these games, they're very popular games, but how can you get a more positive message in there? And for me, sustainability is a really key message for this generation and the next, so I thought that'd be a really good theme to work with, and then this is the outcome of that process.
And tell me a little bit about the pieces and the board itself. I imagine it's made up of sustainable materials itself. Run me through that a little bit.
I've tried very hard to source some materials as sustainably and as locally as possible. So you've got things like the guide, which is 100% recycled paper. Same with the box. You've got cotton bags, which are obviously a bit better than plastic, and wooden pieces as well, which are from sustainable forests. And then the board itself, that's made from foam board, which although it's maybe not a sustainable material, it's very durable, and I think it will last really well. So that's got very positive attributes as well.
And we've got the Portsmouth edition of the game. Is that the first of a few around the area that we're likely to see, so say a Southampton or an Isle of Wight, or is it just targeted towards Portsmouth at this point?
At this moment in time, it's just the Portsmouth edition. But if this is a success, I will certainly be looking at editions in Southampton, London, but I'm also working on the World edition as well, which obviously will have more universal appeal. And
in terms of the game playing, what do you do? I mean, I'm looking at it here. It looks sort of a combination between sort of the old school Risk, maybe a game of life for some of the older viewers. Yeah. What's the idea? What do you do?
Okay, so a player would control a part of Portsmouth, and they have 50 pollution on their area. The aim of the game is to travel around the squares, and using the different squares they can invest in certain eco-innovations which help them get pollution off their area. There's also penalty squares to avoid, positive squares, and also squares where they can win bonus cards as well if they can answer the question correctly. The important thing as well is as players travel around the board, this timer moves forward, and they've gotten to a certain point, depending on the number of players where they've got to finish the game. Everyone's got to have their pollution off at that point, or else everyone loses. So there is also a kind of shared goal as well.
And I imagine, as a family target audience, what are you aiming for in terms of the difficulty and who can get involved in the game?
Well, there's actually 3 different difficulties of cards. So we've got medium ones there, but there's also beginner cards as well, which are aimed at school children, families. There's also advanced cards as well for those eco-warriors out there with some really obscure questions in there. So there's a good variety of potential players in there. I'm really hoping that families and schools in the local area will kind of take to this game now.
And in terms of a cost, I saw something about being about £40. Is that not potentially pricing a few families out of the market?
I do appreciate the cost is quite high, but for a lot of niche games, that's the standard cost these days. It's a very small run. I've used sustainable parts that are more expensive than average, and there's many parts in there as well, hence the high cost. But I think it's probably just about the right price, really.
And I suppose maybe just have an example question. I'm probably putting myself on the spot potentially, and this could end in big trouble. But yeah, if see an example of, we say this is a medium level.
This is medium, yeah. So,
okay.
So you've got a chance. Okay. So I'll read out the question and 3 possible answers.
Okay.
The world's longest lasting light bulb has been on continuously since 1901, 1931, or 1961.
The longest running light bulb.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at a 1 in 3 chance here. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to claim to know the answer, so I'm going to go with, was it A, 1901?
That's the correct answer. Well done.
Okay, but I'm not going to claim it. I didn't know that.
Well, you've always got a 1 in 3 chance as well.
You've learned something this evening there.
So you'd win that in the game.
Okay. And I guess finally, in terms of being able to get hold of the game, is it in shops or website? Where can people buy the game?
So it's my website, which is footprintgame.co.uk. I'm also very pleased to say it's going to be stocked in Wild Time down in Southsea. I'll also be at a few events as well. So there's Christmas at the Castle coming up down at Southsea Castle. I'll be there as well. So hopefully people can catch me then.
Well, and thank you very much for coming in this evening, and I wish you well with the Portsmouth and maybe more going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.